Hello, everyone. This is Sam Ridgway here with another episode of Tales from the Crypto with our resident guru, Cameron Sykes. Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing good, Sammy. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. And today, what we're going to talk about is Biden and his executive order, his recent one, which was today, how crypto is going to just change social media in general. And then we're going to move on to that's going to segue into another coin that Cameron is going to tell you about. You want to research, see if it's for you. Again, this is not financial advice, but Cameron does give a lot of good insight, and it's up to you to follow up on that, make your own decision. So without further ado, Cameron, let's go. What did Biden do?
All righty. Yeah. So today, Biden signed an executive order calling the government to examine the risks and benefits of cryptocurrencies. The measure announced Wednesday will focus on 6 key areas, and those areas are consumer investor protection, financial stability, illicit activity, U.S. competitiveness and global edge, financial inclusion, and responsible innovation. So as I mentioned, part of the announcement focused on giving the U.S. a competitive edge over other countries when it comes to crypto development. And this is especially significant now that China has effectively banned cryptocurrencies. And so how is the crypto world feeling about this? Jeremy Allaire, CEO of crypto firm Circle, said, "This is a watershed moment for crypto, digital assets, and Web3 akin to the 1996-1997 whole of government wake up to the commercial internet." So apparently that's absolutely huge. And the market definitely agrees. Today, Bitcoin shot up over 10%, hitting a 24-hour high of around 42,600 versus a 24-hour low of 38,300. So big news. And yeah, it's definitely putting crypto in the spotlight, and the market's reacting really well to it. So it's definitely something to feel good about, and which is nice because we haven't had a lot to feel good about in the market as of late.
And I'm not really really talking about this because people are like, people get their own ideas about this stuff. But anyway, I had a trade going on. I normally don't trade because I usually lose money, but I had a trade because I thought Bitcoin hit the bottom. And what I saw was this ceiling and this floor that Bitcoin was trading in. It had been trading in that for the past 3 days. So I'm like, great, that looks good. I'm going to hit it at the floor, and then I'm going to sell at the ceiling. Then I'll buy it back, that kind of thing. It just goes to show you never know what crypto is going to do, because news affects a lot of the crypto market, right? And so what happened was I did that whole entire thing. I had what people would consider an exorbitant amount of money on the line, and I sold it off. I woke up this morning, and where I sold it at the ceiling, it had gone 2 times up more than that. Like, I lost out on probably about $15,000 just by selling it off the top. So kind of the point with this is you never know what crypto is going to do, right? And you can do all the TA that you want and look at it and say, oh, well, it's probably going to go here. And a lot of times that stuff works because other people are looking at that, I think. But in general, you just have no frigging clue. Nobody knew. Did you know what Biden was going to do today with the executive order?
No, but apparently last night it was actually preemptively leaked. Like Yellen in the Treasury.
Yeah, that's what must have done it, right?
Way too early, and so the market was like, hell yeah, and started reacting immediately before it was actually announced.
So what you need to do a lot of times is you need to follow the news. And what do they see? Like, what do they say? Like, buy the rumor, sell the news, I think is what they say. Because the rumor has the thing just pump astronomically. And then when it finally comes out and people are like, oh, okay, it's almost like they get used to it. Then you're going to see it regress back down, and you'll see it do a retest, and then hopefully it'll come back up. But there was an incredible rise in Bitcoin from last night. I just saw this green candle going to the moon. I was like, holy shit.
It's crazy. No, it's yeah. But you can never, but you never know how the market's going to react to things. And I guess that kind of, but that makes, like, one of the tokens we talked about in the past, Vector Space AI, one of the things that they do is detect hidden relationships between things. And some of those include, they examine the relationships between global events and how different markets react to those. And so they're able to predict essentially how markets will react to any event by basically instantly creating a basket of investments per event, essentially. So if you were able to leverage that technology, which they have right now, you'd be having a field day with this stuff.
Yeah, if you can take AI, which has become incredibly, you can have cameras all over a city, and you can say, I want a guy in a red shirt with a blue baseball cap. And these cameras can come through and boom, pick that guy out, right? Something that humans would take weeks to comb through, if they could even do it all. So as you get these like relationships and these learning things coming in with AI, where it's, 20,000, 30,000 times smarter than a human being for putting all of these things together and calculating this data and seeing patterns and so on. I mean, it's just going to be where I could see in the future machines trade. Like they trade, and I think if you get enough machines trading and all the machines see the same data as they go, then I think the market's going to move with them. I mean, the machines are going to move the market, right? Because all the machines see the same news, see the same everything, and they're all doing the trading. And so you're not really working with human emotion anymore at some point in time, which is what makes the stock market fluctuate, or the crypto market fluctuate a lot of times, is that human emotion. And once you remove that and you just go strictly into data, I think it's definitely going to be far more predictable at that point in time.
Well, what's really interesting about that is like, okay, so how AI could outperform a human trader, right? Think of it this way: it's like just a Tesla, right? Like those self-driving cars. If one Tesla in somewhere in out in Missouri gets in a crash or whatever, that basically sends a message to every other Tesla in existence. And so they basically learn from that error. So there's like this shared collective hive mind. So like imagine if basically every human on earth was able to know what each other were thinking, we'll be able to act accordingly for one unified goal and be able to use our collective knowledge in a way to do something powerful. That's essentially what this AI has the capability to do, because all these computers would essentially, you can get them to act as some collective hive mind, and where they could put their computational like resources and power together to do fucking whatever. And so it's really.
Well, there's two sides to that, right? There's the one side where humans will have to do less of that kind of critical thinking sort of stuff, and things just happen. Like going along the lines of your Tesla thing, it would be nice if my car would just say, you know what, your water pump's going to go out. You got about a week, right? Like It just tells me that because it sees one component within that water pump that's starting to fail, right? So it knows. And I mean, just like elevators today will actually notify the establishment there's a part that's about to go out. You want to call somebody in to get it fixed because you got about 2 weeks before this thing breaks. That kind of stuff. But when you start putting all these things, humans have to think less. So we kind of focus more on, just living and just, having a good time and that kind of thing without all the rest of the ancillary stuff, the noise going on. So I think that's good. But in the other part of it, where do you stop the machines from learning? I mean, I don't want to get like tinfoil hat type stuff like that, but if a machine has the ability to learn, then it's got the ability to learn and then take over its own actions and start acting independently.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of dystopian future. But let's think of like the best case scenario for that projecting out. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have children right now, but let's say I had kids this year. By the time they're adults and they have kids, I bet you at that point in time, AI will have advanced and crypto will have advanced to the point where, best case scenario, every individual on earth will basically have armies of AI bots working for them, and those bots will essentially be pre-programmed to create and trade different cryptocurrencies amongst themselves. And basically you would live off of the earnings generated from these armies of bots that you have working for you, just trading amongst themselves. And then people won't essentially be able to need to really have jobs, and they'll be able to actually focus on stuff that they're passionate about and shit like that.
People are going to be like, well, who's going to provide food and all the rest of it? Well, it's the machines.
Yeah.
The machines are picking the food and getting the food and taking it over. You got self-driving trucks. You got things. I mean, you could see an entire world. I mean, I think people get lazy like that, but if you still incentivize people with, I like the capitalistic sort of point of view where the harder you work, the more you get. So I think there should still be an incentive structure in place so that people can have more wealth as they do, more things. You don't just give everybody everything, because then people get lazy and complacent. But I think you could definitely take those menial tasks off the table and allow there to be more different jobs, right? Different than just those. And what are those people going to do? There's people that do all kinds of stuff, have their own businesses and stuff that aren't necessarily intelligent, super intelligent. It's just, if you work hard in America, you put forth the effort, generally you have the ability to succeed.
Yeah, I don't think it'll, the good thing is I don't think it'll take away jobs. I think it'll displace jobs. So, and what that means, it's going to create, it may take away jobs in certain areas because those will be less economically viable because of technological advancements made in the marketplace. But and those will ultimately create more and more different jobs in spaces that don't even necessarily exist today.
Agreed. And so, before we get too long in it, so what's the social media aspect? How things going to change? Social media.
Okay, yeah. So speaking of the future, we wanted to talk about the future of crypto and social media. And so one of the things cryptocurrency does extremely well is that it ascribes monetary value to things we didn't previously understand as being worth money. So crypto can turn menial activities on the internet, like scrolling, exploring, and socializing, into financial transactions. Social media is already monetized to benefit content creators. However, it does not provide any financial incentive to users, even though consumers are actually the ones creating the value on the platform, because things do not go viral without a huge network of individual interactions. Everyone interacting online is already creating content value. It's already creating value, whether they realize it or not. Users invest their time and energy on platforms but are not being rewarded. But thanks to crypto, we're not far away from a future where both creators and users of social networks are rewarded on the social platforms themselves. And one project in particular is already leading the way and making this vision a reality. And so this token is Decentralized Social, and their ticker symbol is DESO. And you can find them on Coinbase. Right now, they're trading for about $30.67. They have a market cap of $270 million. Their 52-week low and high is $28.06, and the high was $192.05, which was on June 19th, which is right after their launch. So they're fairly new, and they're basically at their all-time low right now. And so Decentralized Social aims to become the Ethereum of social networks. As Ethereum is a platform for decentralized applications to be built upon, Decentralized Social offers a similar framework, but for decentralized social media applications. User profiles are stored on-chain rather than a centralized platform. This means instead of posts being owned by those platforms like Instagram, they're now publicly accessible inside the DeSo blockchain. This data then can be used and shared by multiple applications. So users creating a profile on an application built on DeSo are creating a profile directly on the blockchain. And this profile will show up on all the applications on the blockchain. Interactions on DeSo are the same as other social networks, like likes, comments, shares, and follows. But unlike other social media platforms, Decentralized Social comes with its own native token, which is DeSo, DESO. And this gives users the ability to tip creators and unlock something called a creator coin. And once your creator coin is unlocked, people can choose to buy it. If they do, the price goes up or down. If they sell, the price goes down. So creator coins unlock features in social network because it incentivizes creators to connect and engage with fans in their audience. And so they can even send coins to their followers, and users of the network can invest in creators they like the most. And so believing in a creator early on, for example, means buying their coin at a very cheap price when they have very little followers. If that creator grows on the platform and becomes more popular, the price of their coin will increase substantially, allowing users to invest in their favorite creators and profit as their popularity grows. And so creators can also have the ability to mint their post into an NFT, which then can be traded directly on the platform. So I think this is a really new, exciting project, and I think they're ahead of the curve, and this is exactly where social media is going. So I would definitely recommend doing some research on them, and you can buy them on Coinbase.
So you're basically getting paid to do Instagram, or like instead of just the whole free service where you do it, and you make money like off of YouTube. You don't make any money off of people watching commercials on YouTube. I mean, there's not much money made at all, even for the people that make a whole lot of money. What YouTube does is YouTube gives you that foundation with which you can promote other products that you believe in, other services that you believe in. It gives you basically a pulpit to which you can talk to people. But Google itself isn't paying you jack squat. Right. A lot of people think, oh, you're making a fortune. No, they're not making a fortune off of people watching the ad. It's all on the other stuff that comes off of it. So if you could interact with that as a fan and get like people like Tales from the Crypto, right? They come in and we got a Tales from the Crypto coin and they get it, and we become more and more popular, and now the coin goes up and people are buying and selling. We're minting NFTs off of things that we did. We're selling those. We're creating our wealth out of that. And then our fan base is also being helped by increasing their wealth through supporting us, right? That's a perfect situation. I love that.
Yeah, because crypto can essentially monetize anything. And it's like users on these platforms are investing their time and energy into it. And they are the reason why these creators are making so much money. And so they should be rewarded for that. And so by finding ways to incentivize users of these platforms to be engaged and have kind of a stake in the platform, I mean, I think that's huge, and it's ultimately where things are going. And I think they're exciting because they're ahead of the curve in that respect.
But so much, like right now, the people that profit off of this are the creators themselves, which again, God love them. They deserve all of that, because there's a lot that goes into these things. The research that you do, even my videos with Live Like a Viking and Viking Alternative, I mean, it's hours of research and shooting and editing and so on. I mean, a 8-minute clip could take me 30 hours to do, right? Nobody realizes that. But beyond that, I think the fan base needs to be rewarded as well, because it takes two. You could be a creator all you want, and that's great. But if you have nobody watching you, it's kind of pointless, right? So I think that both sides need to do. That's why I think this is awesome. I'm gonna buy some of this because I like the whole concept. I like the creator being compensated, awesome, and I like the fan base being compensated as well, and boosting that creator to the level. And you know what? The creator has to perform, or the fan base falls, and the creator, you know, their market share, the wealth, the price of their coin would plummet. So there's incentive all around for people to watch and for people to create excellent content. So I love the concept.
Absolutely. And what's really cool is that it's not like an app, and it's an individual app in itself. It's like Ethereum. It's a platform. So there's going to be all these different social media apps created on that platform that are going to be having those features, providing those features to their users and their creators. I think that's really cool.
So you could have, like, Instagram would run on it, and Facebook would run on it, and YouTube would run on it, and whatever else would run on it, and all of these things. That's the foundation that it sits on, correct?
And
each of those have their own coin, though. If they get to a certain following, then they get their own coin.
Yeah, your own creator coin and stuff. But
that's cool.
And your profiles aren't stored on those individual platforms. It's all stored on DeSo's blockchain. And so your profile can then be visible and shared on these other applications that are built on the network.
I love it. I think that's an incredible concept. So anyway, we're at almost 18 minutes. So we got to wrap this up. But again, Cameron, thanks so much. The executive. Okay, just real quick before you leave, the executive order with what do you? Good, bad, and different. I mean, ultimately, what do you think? What do you think's coming down from a legislative perspective? Maybe not even this executive order, but just from a legislative thing. I know the crypto market kind of wants that a little bit, because if you know the rules of the game, then you can play the game. The problem a lot of people have getting into that market is when there are no rules to the game. Those rules can be changed at any point in time. There's nothing sitting there saying, here's the rules. Like every 10 yards you get a first down. You know, there none of that is there. So it's the wild, wild west. Even if it's bad regulation, it's still regulation. It's still rules. It's still something that people can say, okay, here are the guidelines, the parameters with which we have to work under. And that provides stability, as opposed to something where everybody's like, you know, shit could happen at any point in time. I don't know nobody wants to put a bunch of money into that.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a necessary step in order to get crypto ready to start receiving large institutional capital, which it's not there at this point. And so it's helping provide the necessary framework for really large institutional money to get into this space. And once that does, it's going to be fucking insane. We're going to see the market take off more than ever, because basically now we don't even really have the infrastructure to support the amount of money that's just sitting in the sidelines at these huge, huge investment banks ready to go invest in the space. And once their money's in here, it's going to, I mean, the space is going to, the market's going to move in ways that we've never seen before. It's going to be absolutely huge. And so we're prepping for that. This is a step in the right direction. And I think, you know, we could potentially start, you know, by the end of 2022, 2023, everything might be in place for that money to be injected into the market, and we could see some really huge things.
It's crazy. Billionaires are going to be created. In fact, they said the first trillionaire will probably be out of crypto. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, I mean, they're just you start getting money from like sovereign wealth funds. You know what I mean? Like like
countries, like entire countries.
yeah, there are funds sitting out there that are holding trillions of dollars in assets, and they're ready to go in crypto, but there needs to be a regulatory framework in place for it to offset the potential risk of putting that money.
Somebody needs to write the playbook. And then here's the playbook. Here's what we have to do it. And then everybody's like, okay, I got that. Let's play the game. All right, Cameron, love everything. The research. I think that token is awesome. I love the concept of that. So next Wednesday, we'll do the same thing. How about it?
Absolutely. Sounds great.
All right. I appreciate it. Have a great week.
You too.